I was 31 when I came home 3 hours early and heard my wife tell her mother I was too stupid to realize I'd been raising another man's children. The factory had shut down for equipment maintenance. Unexpected afternoon off, the kind that usually feels like a gift. I pulled into the driveway around 2:30, already thinking about grabbing a beer and crashing on the couch for a few hours. Her car was there, which made sense. She was usually home with the twins by then. I grabbed my lunchbox, kicked off my work boots in the entryway, and that's when I heard her voice drifting from the kitchen. At first, I thought she was on a video call with a friend. Her tone was light, conversational, the kind of voice she used when she was comfortable. But then I caught actual words, and something in my gut told me to stop moving. "Mom, I'm telling you, he has no idea." I stood there, frozen, one hand still on the doorframe. The girls looked nothing like him, nothing. Everyone can see it except him. She laughed, that easy, carefree laugh I used to think was beautiful. Now it sounded like nails scraping down my spine. 5 years, Mom. He still hasn't figured it out. Child support is practically locked in at this point. My vision blurred for a second. I couldn't tell if I was about to pass out or throw up, but I stayed completely still, barely breathing. Her mother's voice came through the phone speaker, loud enough for me to hear clearly. "You played that perfectly, sweetie. He works so much he barely pays attention anyway. And now you've got him locked in for at least 13 more years. 18 if I'm lucky," my wife said, and they both laughed again. "The best part? He loves those girls so much, he'd never even think to question it. He's too dumb to notice they have brown eyes, and we both have blue." The words hit me like a sledgehammer to the chest. Brown eyes, blue eyes. I'd never thought about it before because why would I? They were my daughters, my girls, Bella and Maya. 5 years old, bright smiles, sticky hands always reaching for me when I walked through the door. "Daddy, look at this. Daddy, can we play blocks? Daddy, will you read to us?" Except they weren't mine. I didn't make a sound. I backed away from the kitchen door, picked up my boots from where I'd left them, and walked out the front door like a ghost. Got in my truck, started the engine, drove 2 blocks away, and pulled over because my hands were shaking so hard I couldn't grip the steering wheel. I sat there in silence, staring at nothing, trying to make sense of what I'd just heard. Every memory suddenly felt contaminated. Every bedtime story, every scraped knee I'd kissed better, every time I'd gotten up at 2 a.m. for fevers or nightmares, all of it built on a lie. And she knew. She'd always known. I pulled out my phone. My hands were still trembling, but my mind had clicked into something cold and clear. I typed into the search bar, "Same-day DNA testing near me." Found a clinic 20 minutes away. They had an opening at 4 p.m. that same afternoon. I called immediately. "Yes, I need a paternity test as soon as possible." The woman on the phone was professional, detached. "We can accommodate that. Do you have samples available, or will you need to schedule swab collection?" "Hair samples," I said. "Can you test those?" "Absolutely, as long as the root follicles are attached. We also offer expedited results for an additional fee, 72 hours instead of 10 days. I'll pay whatever it costs." I hung up and sat there for another 15 minutes, just breathing. Then I drove back to the house. Her car was gone, probably out running errands like she did every Thursday afternoon. I didn't waste time. Went straight upstairs to the twins' bathroom. Their hairbrushes were sitting on the counter, full of dark brown strands. I pulled several from each brush, making sure I got the roots, and sealed them in separate sandwich bags. labeled them carefully with a marker. Bella, Maya. Then I went to my own bathroom and did the same with my hair. 3 samples, all bagged, all labeled. I was back in my truck by 3:45. At the clinic, the process was quick and sterile. The technician took my information, explained the procedure, and handed me a receipt. Results will be emailed and mailed within 72 hours. Is there anything else we can assist with? No, that's everything. I walked back to the truck and sat there in the parking lot with the engine running. Then I scrolled through my contacts and found the name of a lawyer a buddy had used during his divorce a couple years back. Ronald Baxter. I called the office. I need to speak with Mr. Baxter about a divorce. It's urgent. The receptionist didn't hesitate. He has an opening tomorrow morning at 9. Does that work? Perfect. I hung up and just sat there, staring at the dashboard. There was a photo tucked into the sun visor. Bella and Maya at the beach last summer, building sandcastles, grinning at the camera. I'd taken that picture. I'd been the one holding their hands in the water. I'd been the one who taught them to ride their bikes. And none of it was real. I drove to a park and sat on a bench until the sun went down. Didn't cry, didn't scream. Just watched kids play on the swings and tried to figure out how I'd been so blind. Around 7, my phone started ringing. Her name flashed on the screen. I declined the call. She called again, declined again. Then came the texts. Where are you? Are you okay? Why did you leave? Did something happen at work? I turned off my phone and checked into a motel off the highway. Paid cash for one night. Sat on the edge of the bed and stared at the wall until exhaustion finally pulled me under. When I woke up the next morning, I had 17 missed calls and 32 text messages. I didn't read a single one. Just showered, got dressed, and drove straight to Ronald Baxter's office. He was exactly what I needed. Mid-50s, gray hair, sharp eyes, and the kind of calm authority that told me he'd seen worse. His office smelled like coffee and old leather. He gestured to a chair across from his desk. Tell me what happened. I laid it all out. The conversation I'd overheard, the DNA test I'd ordered, the 5 years of lies. He didn't interrupt once, just took notes on a yellow legal pad with steady, practiced handwriting. When I finished, he leaned back in his chair and studied me for a moment. First question, are you on the birth certificates? Yes, both of them. He nodded slowly. That complicates things, but it's not impossible. If the DNA results confirm what you suspect, we can file for fraudulent paternity. It's not common, but it's doable. You'll need to prove she knowingly deceived you about the children's parentage. I heard her admit it on the phone with her mother. Did you record it? No. Unfortunate, but not fatal. The DNA evidence will be strong enough. He tapped his pen against the desk. Now, here's what we need to discuss. If those children aren't yours biologically, you may be able to get removed from financial responsibility going forward. But here's the hard part. You've been acting as their father for 5 years. A judge might still require some level of support during a transition period. Transition period? Until the biological father is identified and takes over responsibility. Do you know who he is? No idea. We'll need to find out. Your wife will be compelled to disclose that information during proceedings. If she refuses, she'll be in contempt of court. I rubbed my face, exhaustion pressing down on me like a weight. What about the money I've already spent? 5 years of expenses. Can I get any of that back? Possibly. We can petition for reimbursement based on fraud. It won't be easy, and you won't get everything. But judges don't look kindly on paternity fraud. We can make a case. What do I do now? Baxter leaned forward. Right now, today? Go home, act normal. Don't tip your hand until we have the DNA results in writing. Document everything, text messages, emails, bank statements. If she has a separate account or any hidden assets, we need to know about it. And whatever you do, don't move out of the house. If you leave, it can hurt you in the proceedings. She's been texting me constantly. Wants to know where I was last night. Tell her you needed space. Work stress, something vague. Don't engage too much. Just keep her calm until we're ready to move. I nodded. When do we file? The moment you get those test results, email them to me immediately. I'll have the paperwork ready to go. We'll file for divorce and fraudulent paternity simultaneously. Hit her with everything at once. Good. He studied me for a second. How are you holding up? I'm fine. You don't look fine. I'll be fine once this is over. He handed me his card. Call me anytime, day or night. We'll get through this. I left his office and sat in my truck for a few minutes, letting his words settle. 72 hours until the DNA results. Then we blow everything up. I drove home. Her car was in the driveway. The twins' bikes were lying on the front lawn. Everything looked normal. Perfect, even. I walked in, and she was in the kitchen making lunch. She turned around and smiled like nothing was wrong. Hey, where were you last night? I was worried sick. Had to clear my head. Work stuff. You could have texted me back. Phone died. She walked over and kissed me on the cheek, and I had to force myself not to flinch. Well, I'm glad you're okay. The girls missed you this morning. I forced a smile. Where are they? Upstairs playing. Do you want me to call them down? No, it's fine. I'll go up in a minute. She went back to making sandwiches, humming some tune I didn't recognize. I watched her move around the kitchen like she always did, completely oblivious to the fact that her entire world was about to collapse. I went upstairs. The twins were in their room, building something elaborate with blocks. When they saw me, they both screamed, "Daddy!" and ran over. I caught them, hugged them, breathed in the smell of their shampoo and strawberry lotion. Bella showed me the tower they'd built. Maya grabbed my hand and dragged me toward their toy chest. I played with them for 20 minutes, laughing at their made-up stories, helping them stack blocks higher and higher. The whole time, I felt like my chest was being crushed. These were my daughters. Not biologically, but they didn't know that. They thought I was their father. They loved me because I'd been there every single day of their lives. I excused myself and went to the bedroom, closed the door, and sat on the edge of the bed, staring at nothing. Over the next 2 days, I went through the motions, showed up to work, came home, played with the twins, had dinner with her. She talked about her day, complained about one of her friends, mentioned needing new tires on her car. I just nodded and made the appropriate sounds. At night, I'd wait until she fell asleep. Then I'd get up and go through her things. Found a second phone tucked in her gym bag, locked. I didn't try to open it, just took a picture of it and sent it to Baxter. I checked the bank statements. She'd been transferring small amounts to an account I didn't recognize. $50 here, $80 there. Not enough to raise alarms, but over 5 years, it added up. I documented everything. Found receipts for a hotel 3 towns over, dated from 6 years ago, right around the time she would have gotten pregnant. I took pictures of everything, built a file on my laptop, backed it up twice. She didn't notice. She was too comfortable, too confident that I'd never figure it out. On the third morning, I woke up at 5 and checked my email. Nothing yet. The clinic had said 72 hours. That would put the results around 4 p.m. today. I went to work but couldn't focus. Kept checking my phone every 20 minutes. At 3:47 p.m., the email came through. DNA test results. Case number 84729. My hand shook as I opened it. 2 tests, Bella and Maya. Probability of paternity, 0%. Probability of paternity, 0%. I sat there staring at the screen. I'd known it was coming. I'd heard her say it with my own ears. But seeing it in writing made it undeniable. Made it real. I forwarded the email to Baxter with one line. It's confirmed. Let's move. He replied within 5 minutes. Come to the office tomorrow at 8 a.m. Bring every document you have. We're filing by noon. I closed my laptop and walked out of the building. Told my supervisor I had a family emergency and needed the rest of the day. He didn't ask questions. I drove to a park and sat in my truck until the sun went down. Then I drove home. She was in the living room watching some show. The twins were already in bed. Hey, you're late. Everything okay? Yeah, just had some stuff to finish at work. There's pasta in the fridge if you're hungry. I'm good. I went upstairs, brushed my teeth, and got into bed. She came in a few minutes later and curled up next to me. Love you? She said. I didn't answer, just closed my eyes and waited for morning. Tomorrow, everything would change. I walked into Baxter's office at 7:55 a.m. with a folder full of everything I'd collected. Bank statements, receipts, screenshots, the DNA results printed out and highlighted in yellow. He spread it all across his conference table like he was assembling a puzzle. This is good, he said, flipping through pages. This is very good. The second phone, the transfers, the hotel receipt from 6 years ago. This paints a clear picture of deception. What's our next move? We file a petition for divorce based on irreconcilable differences and fraudulent misrepresentation. Simultaneously, we file a motion to disestablish paternity for both children. We're also requesting full reimbursement of all child-related expenses for the past 5 years, plus legal fees. Will that actually work? The reimbursement part? It's not guaranteed, but we have a strong case. Paternity fraud is one of the few situations where courts will consider financial restitution. We'll calculate every dollar you've spent. Diapers, formula, medical insurance, preschool, clothes, food, everything. He pulled out a calculator and a spreadsheet he'd already started. Rough estimate, we're looking at somewhere between $40,000 and $50,000 over 5 years. That includes direct costs and your share of household expenses attributed to the children. The number hit me harder than I expected. $50,000. 5 years of my life. Now, here's the critical part, Baxter continued. We need to identify the biological father. Your wife will be required to disclose his identity during proceedings. Once we know who he is, we'll pursue him for child support and potentially add him to the suit. What if she refuses to tell us? Then she's in contempt of court. The judge won't be sympathetic. She's already committed fraud. Refusing to cooperate will only make things worse for her. When do we serve her? Baxter checked his watch. Papers will be ready by 2 p.m. today. Now, I need to ask you something important. Where does your wife go regularly? Somewhere public where she'll be around people she knows. She does Pilates Tuesday and Thursday mornings at 9. Place called Core Fit Studio downtown. Perfect. We'll have her served there tomorrow morning. Public service ensures there are witnesses, and it sends a message. A message? that you're not playing games, that this is happening whether she likes it or not. It also prevents her from hiding or avoiding service. I nodded. Do it. He made a note. One more thing. I'm going to recommend you open a separate bank account today. Transfer your paycheck there starting immediately. You don't want her draining your joint account once she's served. Already done? Switched it yesterday. Smart. We spent the next hour going through every detail. He explained the timeline, the court dates, what to expect. By the time I left his office, I felt like I was heading into battle with a clear strategy. I went to work but couldn't focus. Kept thinking about tomorrow morning, about her face when she got served in front of everyone. That evening, I came home and everything was normal. She'd made dinner. The twins were laughing about something that happened at daycare. We ate together like we'd done 1,000 times before. After dinner, I helped clean up while she gave the twins a bath. I could hear them splashing and giggling upstairs. When they were in bed, she came downstairs and sat next to me on the couch. "You've been quiet lately," she said. "Is everything okay?" "Just tired. Work's been busy. Maybe we should go away for a weekend. Just the two of us. My mom could watch the girls." I almost laughed. "Yeah, maybe." She put her head on my shoulder. "I love you. You know that." "Sure." She didn't seem to notice that I didn't say it back. The next morning, I got up early. She was still sleeping. I got dressed for work, kissed the twins goodbye, and left. I didn't go to work. I drove to a coffee shop 2 blocks from Corfit Studio and parked where I had a clear view of the entrance. At 8:52 a.m., her car pulled into the lot. She got out wearing athletic clothes, carrying a yoga mat and water bottle. She walked in like she didn't have a care in the world. At 9:14 a.m., a man in a suit walked into the studio. Process server. Baxter had hired someone professional, someone who wouldn't cause a scene but would get the job done. I sat there drinking coffee, waiting. At 9:31 a.m., my phone buzzed. Text from Baxter. Served. She signed. I sat there for another 10 minutes, then drove to a diner and ordered breakfast. My phone started ringing at 9:47 a.m. Her name on the screen. I let it go to voicemail. She called 6 more times in the next hour. I didn't answer. Then came the texts. "What is this? Call me now. This is insane. We need to talk about this. You can't just do this. Answer your phone." I turned my phone on silent and finished my eggs. Around noon, Baxter called. "How are you holding up?" "I'm fine. What happens now?" Now we wait for her response. She has 30 days to file an answer to the divorce petition. The paternity hearing is scheduled for 6 weeks from today. In the meantime, I'd expect her to try everything to contact you. Don't engage. All communication goes through me from this point forward. Understood. One more thing. I did some digging into that hotel receipt you found. Called the hotel, talked to their manager. They keep records for 7 years. I explained the situation, and they're willing to provide records if we subpoena them. What kind of records? Check-in logs, credit card payments. If she used her card, we'll know exactly when she was there, and possibly who she was with if he used his card too. Do it. Already filed the subpoena. We'll have those records in 2 weeks. I hung up and went back to work. Told my boss I'd had a personal emergency, but everything was handled now. My phone kept buzzing all afternoon. Her mother, her sister. I ignored all of it. When I got home that evening, her car was gone. The house was empty. She'd left a note on the kitchen counter. "We need to talk. I'm at my mother's with the girls. Call me." I crumpled the note and threw it away. My phone rang. Baxter. "She's already trying to negotiate," he said. "Her mother called my office. Wants to set up a mediation meeting." "No." That's what I told them. I said all communication goes through official channels. She'll have to respond to the petition in writing. Good. One more thing. The hotel records came back faster than expected. Your wife checked in on March 17th 6 years ago, paid with her credit card. But here's the interesting part. Someone named Owen Caldwell checked into the same hotel, same night, room right next door. My stomach dropped. Owen Caldwell. You know him? That's her ex-boyfriend, from before we got married. Well, Baxter said, I think we just found our biological father. The next morning, I woke up to 43 missed calls. I deleted every voicemail without listening. Baxter called at 8. Owen Caldwell is married, lives in the next county, works as an operations manager at a distribution center. I've already drafted a notice informing him of the paternity results and his legal obligations. When does he get it? Today, along with a court order requiring a DNA test. He can't dodge this. What about her? She filed an emergency motion asking for temporary custody and support. Judge denied it pending the paternity hearing. She's spiraling. I almost smiled. Good. That afternoon, I got a call from an unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. You son of a... It was her mother, screaming. How dare you do this to her? To those children? Tell your daughter I know everything, every lie, every detail. And tell her she's done. Those girls think you're their father. That's not my problem anymore. You both made sure of that. I hung up and blocked the number. 2 days later, Baxter called with an update. Owen Caldwell took the DNA test. Results came back this morning. He's the father, both girls. And here's the best part. His wife just filed for divorce. She found out about the affair and the kids on the same day. What's he doing about child support? His lawyer is negotiating, but he'll have to pay. Court will determine the amount at the hearing. We're estimating around $1,200 a month for both children. And my reimbursement? We're pushing for $47,000. She'll have to liquidate assets to pay you. Her car, jewelry, anything of value. The judge is actually sympathetic to your case. Paternity fraud rulings are rare, but when they happen, courts don't mess around. 3 weeks passed. She tried showing up at my workplace twice. Security escorted her out both times. She sent letters, emails, even had her sister try to ambush me at a gas station. I ignored everything. The paternity hearing was scheduled for a Thursday morning. I wore a suit. She showed up looking exhausted, her mother beside her. The judge reviewed everything. DNA results, hotel records, bank statements. The recordings I'd made after the first conversation. I'd caught 3 more discussions between her and her mother, planning their strategy. Her lawyer tried arguing that I'd acted as the father for 5 years and should continue supporting the children during transition. The judge shut it down. Mrs. Brennan knowingly deceived her husband about the paternity of these children for 5 years. This court does not reward fraud. Paternity is disestablished effective immediately. Mr. Caldwell is ordered to pay child support. Mrs. Brennan is ordered to reimburse her husband $47,000 within 90 days. She started crying. Her lawyer asked for an extension. The judge gave her 120 days. Outside the courthouse, she tried approaching me. Please, we can fix this. The girls need you. I kept walking. I made a mistake, one mistake. I stopped and turned around. You made a choice. Every single day for 5 years. You chose to lie. You chose to laugh about it with your mother. You chose to call me too dumb to notice. Now you get to live with those choices. I got in my truck and drove away. She sold her car the next week, started working 2 jobs to pay me back. I never saw those girls again. That part hurt more than I expected. But I'd done what I had to do, and I walked away with my dignity. 3 months after the hearing, I ran into one of her friends at the hardware store. She recognized me and walked over. "I just want you to know, we had no idea," she said quietly. "What she did was unforgivable. Nobody talks to her anymore." I nodded. "Thanks." She lost her job, you know. The story got around. Her boss didn't want the drama. I didn't respond, just grabbed my supplies and left. Through mutual acquaintances, I heard pieces of what happened to her. She'd moved in with her mother permanently. The house she'd been renting got foreclosed after she couldn't make payments. Owen Caldwell was paying child support, but barely. His own divorce had wrecked his finances. Her mother's friends stopped inviting them to events. The Pilates studio asked her not to come back. Too much gossip, too many uncomfortable conversations. She tried reaching out one last time. 6 months after everything finalized, a handwritten letter showed up at my place. "I destroyed everything. I know that now. I'm sorry doesn't cover it. The girls ask about you sometimes. I don't know what to tell them. I hope someday you can forgive me, even though I don't deserve it." I read it once, then burned it in the kitchen sink. Baxter called a week later. "Final payment just cleared. $47,000 plus the court-ordered interest. You're done." "Good. How are you doing? Really?" "Getting there. One day at a time." I'd started seeing someone from work. Nothing serious yet, but it felt good to have conversations that weren't about betrayal and court dates. I'd moved into a smaller place closer to the factory. Quiet neighborhood, good neighbors. My buddy invited me to a cookout that weekend. I almost said no, but forced myself to go. Being around people felt strange at first, but after a couple beers, I started to relax. Someone asked about the divorce. I kept it short. "It didn't work out. I'm better off now." They didn't push, just nodded and changed the subject. Standing there watching people laugh and kids run around, I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Peace. She'd tried to trap me, tried to make me her permanent paycheck while laughing behind my back. Instead, I'd walked away, made her pay for every lie, every dollar, every day of deception. Some people called me cold, said I should have thought about the kids. But those weren't my kids, never were. And I wasn't going to spend the rest of my life paying for someone else's betrayal. I finished my beer, tossed the can in recycling, and joined the conversation. For the first time, in a long time, the future felt like mine again. A year later, I was doing better than I ever expected. The woman from work, her name was Juliet. We'd been dating for 8 months. She knew the whole story, didn't judge, just listened and let me process it at my own pace. I got promoted at the factory. Better pay, better hours. Used some of the reimbursement money to buy a reliable truck, put the rest in savings. I heard through the grapevine that my ex had moved 2 hours away. Couldn't handle seeing people who knew what she'd done. Her mother sold the house and moved with her. They were both working retail jobs, barely scraping by. Owen Caldwell's life imploded too. Lost his marriage, lost half his assets in the divorce, and now paid child support to my ex. His own kids from his actual marriage wanted nothing to do with him. Sometimes I thought about Bella and Maya. Wondered if they remembered me. Wondered what lies she told them about why I disappeared. but I couldn't let myself go down that road. They had a father now, the right one, the biological one. That wasn't my responsibility anymore. One Saturday morning, Juliet and I were at a diner having breakfast. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. Text message. I see you moved on. Good for you. I hope she knows what kind of man she's got. You threw away 2 little girls who loved you. You'll regret that someday. I showed Juliet the message. She read it and looked at me. You going to respond? No. She's just trying to make herself feel better about what she did. I blocked the number and put my phone away. You ever regret it? Juliet asked. Walking away from her? Not for a second. I regret the situation every day. But I didn't create that situation. She did. And I'm not going to spend my life paying for her lies. She squeezed my hand. You did the right thing. We finished breakfast and headed to the hardware store. I was building shelves for the garage, and she was helping. Normal stuff. Good stuff. That evening, sitting on my porch with a beer, I thought about where I'd been a year ago. Broken, furious, questioning everything. Now I had my life back, my dignity, my future. She'd tried to destroy me. Instead, she destroyed herself. And I was okay with that. I took a long drink, watched the sun go down, and smiled. This was my life now. Nobody's fool, nobody's paycheck, nobody's backup plan. Just mine. And that was exactly how it should be. Our story has come to an end. If you've made it this far, how about subscribing to our channel? It helps us immensely. I've selected 2 other videos for you that I'm sure you'll enjoy. Feel.